While it may not seem like it, the countryside is a bustling hub of challenges and intricate strategy. Ferocious battles take place here every day. The key players in these battles are not humans, but the thousands of wild creatures that live within the fields, where they're rarely welcome. Certain animals see the fields as all-you-can-eat restaurants. One can understand their perspective. Cultivated crops are richer in nutrients than their naturally grown counterparts. But it's a fine line between an enjoyable meal and the destruction of a harvest. Hence their troubled relationship with farmers. The western grain fields of the region are where this relationship is the most strained. Here, crop pests are often treated by way of synthetic chemicals. For these wild animals, it's the worst possible scenario, as these chemicals kill the plant's enemies, but also thousands of innocent creatures, including those who benefit the crops. Among them are the bees, who pollinate the flowers and contribute to fruit and grain production, along with hundreds of animals that feed on plant pests, ultimately protecting the crops. Luckily, certain crop fields in the east of France are chemical-free. For the animals, these fields are heaven on earth. They can breed and diversify almost as if they were in a wild habitat. The numerous and varied animal species here fight amongst themselves, ultimately balancing out their population numbers. Crop pests are no exception to this rule, so these fields are naturally protected. And if the presence of a certain pest begins to threaten the harvest, an army of specially trained animals exist that can be unleashed to quell the threat and help protect the fields. Whether they are friends or foes of the plants, and whether they are at war with the humans or each other, these wild animals, hidden amongst the crops, live out extraordinary daily adventures. This morning, two beekeepers inspect a few of their small hives located in the woods. All seems well in the 22 hives. Every minute, hundreds of worker bees return home, carrying their loads of pollen and nectar to the other members of their colony. Suddenly, the beekeepers find a graveyard of worker bees in front of one of the hives. The entrance resembles an abandoned airport. And the inside is practically empty. And yet there is no sign of sickness amongst the bees. This can only be due to insecticide poisoning. The toxic source is just 800 meters from the hive. In this giant industrial apple orchard, numerous inchworms were devouring the tree leaves and buds, threatening the health of the apple trees. As a result, early this morning, the crop manager decided to treat the entire orchard, even though using chemical insecticides is forbidden when the trees are flowering. This type of practice is unfortunately fairly common. The problem is that insecticides don't only kill pests. They're also deadly to hundreds of harmless creatures, including friends of these trees, like the bees. For 3 hours, tractors drench the orchard with a mix of 2 insecticides, a neurotoxic one, which kills insects by paralyzing them, and a growth regulator, which prevents their larvae from transforming into adults. As a result, the bees swallow poisoned nectar and carry insecticide-filled pollen packets back to their hives. Under the effects of the neurotoxic insecticide, numerous worker bees don't make it back to the hive and die along the way. Others pass away inside the hive and are carried out one after another by their comrades. The graveyard grows with each passing hour. But the nightmare doesn't end there. Inside the hive, the toxic pollen is absorbed by the larvae in the honeycomb wax. Now the second insecticide, which blocks the molt, takes effect. Intoxicated by the pollen, many larvae can't enter the pupal stage and will never become worker bees. The few that manage to transform suffer from fatal abnormalities, especially in their eyes. The dead and intoxicated pupa are added to the graveyard. The quest for large harvests and immaculate fruit means industrial apple trees go through record levels of treatments, over 30 chemical sprays a year. Each year, 2 to 3 nearby bee colonies pay the price. In this organic orchard, where apples, pears, prunes and cherries are grown, the absence of chemical treatment allows local fauna to flourish. It's the complete opposite of the industrial apple orchard. The bees that collect pollen and feed on nectar here will be able to pollinate these flowers in full safety. But not all animals present are welcome. Aphids have begun to multiply in the apple trees. If their number grows too much, these sapsuckers will weaken the trees and damage the harvest. Luckily, dozens of natural anti-aphid agents can take advantage of their proliferation to feast. The only real threat facing these apple trees are these odd-looking large-nosed creatures that gather on the tips of the branches near flower clusters. These small insects are apple blossom weevils. Despite their easygoing aspect, they can be a serious problem. Apple weevils love blossom buds, nipping them at the base to suck up their sweet nectar before they can bloom. But their appetite for nectar does not prevent the flowers from producing an apple. The truly dangerous apple weevil is the female. The harmless male weevils only care about sex. Nature is well designed. Their females are consenting and continue about their activities with no heed to what takes place on their backs. Even when their success exceeds nature's quotas. But all joking aside, worries about the apple weevil is the reason this farmer is visiting her orchard this morning. She immediately realizes she was right to investigate. Numerous flower buds have ceased development and now resemble cloves. This is due to the female weevils, who have already moved on to the most dangerous phase of their activity. They are laying their eggs inside the budding flowers. The larvae that hatch a few days later devour the flower from within. To better understand the extent of the danger, the farmer begins a strange ritual with the help of a stick and a sheet. This is known as the beating method. It allows the farmer to assess the size of the orchard's weevil population. The results are reassuring. The small bugs are present, but their numbers are low compared to the number of flowers. This year, there will be no need to treat the orchard for weevils. Better yet, these long-nosed creatures will actually be helpful for the harvest. The destruction they caused will prevent too many apples from forming, a job that would have otherwise needed to be done manually. The moral of the story is, it's always better to assess the real risk posed by any pests before taking any action against them. Less than a kilometre away, this organic grain field is also a paradise for honeybees. It is surrounded by hedges and prairies, bursting with wildflowers, and is never treated with insecticides. The grain fields themselves have never been treated with herbicides and are rife with wildflowers that welcome and nourish hundreds of insects. The field also has a secret that only true insiders are able to detect. The farmer planted the grains along with 2 vegetable plants, peas and broad beans, which both produce nectar-bearing flowers. To protect her fields against plant pests, the organic farmer simply relies on nature's equilibrium. Her mix of plants creates an extraordinarily varied floral ecosystem, which includes crop pests, but also hundreds of other creatures that will feed upon them. And there's proof of the area's rich natural diversity. The extraordinary presence of the harvest mouse, the smallest rodent in Europe. The expansion of crop fields devoid of natural hideouts has slowly driven this creature from the countryside. In the agricultural world, they are considered a sign of biodiversity. These mice only live where nature has been adequately preserved. A few mice have even entered the field and enjoy feasting on the cereal grains. Their impact on production is paltry, and they are so discreet that the farmer does not even notice their presence. In this organic field, the harvest will be strong, thanks to the thousands of crop-friendly creatures that naturally eliminate pests. Each year, cornfields are attacked by a notorious insect, the European corn borer, a trivial, inconspicuous moth. The first indication of its presence are these minuscule eggs, which after 2 weeks release tiny caterpillars, almost invisible to the naked eye. These micro-caterpillars make their way into the stalks, emerging 2 months later when they've completed their metamorphosis. In the meantime, they tirelessly chew their way through the plant, weakening the corn stalks from the inside. The damage remains hidden until autumn, when the plant stems finally break and the corn falls to the ground. The first and most common defense against the corn borer is chemical warfare. The major downside to this technique is that it kills every insect it touches, turning the field into an animal ghost town. Instead of being treated with insecticides, the neighbouring field uses natural predators to combat the corn borer. These insect warriors are transported by drone, packed with white 2-centimetre capsules that will release these miniature soldiers into the fields. This battalion is made up of parasitic wasps called trichogramma. To cover the entire field, the drone is programmed to release one capsule every 10 meters. Once they've reached the ground, the wasps leave their capsules in successive waves and launch their attack in the corn jungle. Their mission? Corn borer eggs. Female trichogramma lay their eggs inside the corn borer's eggs. When the eggs hatch, their offspring destroy the future corn-eating caterpillar. A single trichogramma can annihilate over 60 corn borer eggs. Two kilometers away is a third, very interesting cornfield. The corn borer may be present, but this young organic farmer has no plans to treat the fields with chemicals or even use predators like the trichogramma. He is betting on the quality of his soil and the endurance of the ancient corn variety he planted in his field. These corn stalks are thick and resistant and don't break as easily as the varieties chosen for their high yield qualities. One of the advantages of this field is its exceptionally high quantity of fauna due to a total lack of chemical insecticides. In spring, honeybees abound, as this ancient variety of corn produces 10 times more pollen than more modern varieties. For now, it's impossible to compare the damage caused by the corn borer on these three cornfields. We'll have to return in 2 months, when the corn plants have matured, to count the number of broken stalks. This cute rodent has just begun his quest for food in the fields. It's the good life. There's food everywhere. This little chap only eats in plain sight when he's extremely hungry. One must always be on guard for sky-born predators. Usually, he enjoys his meals in his burrow, where he is safe from attack. This little creature, called a vole, is dreaded by farmers everywhere. Voles reproduce at astonishing speeds. This spring, there were so many voles on the west side of this wheat field that a significant part of its harvest will be affected. Although it's too late to reverse the damage already done, the wheat farmer uses poison seeds in an attempt to reduce the number of voles in the field. Using his seed planter, the farmer places the bait laced with a chemical blood thinner inside the vole burrows. The farmer knows that none of the poisoned grains can be left on the surface. Any piece of bait left behind is a real threat to grain-loving birds. And there are many grain-loving birds nearby who visit this field for a snack. There are partridges, stone curlews, and even a few little bustards, a species on the brink of extinction. All of them are now in danger. And yet there is a natural way to fight off voles. It consists in creating a favourable environment for birds of prey, which are terribly efficient. There are a couple of little owls dwelling in the walnut tree just next to the field. Or even a family of kestrels living in the neighbouring dovecot. Every raptor couple consumes hundreds of voles every mating season, which makes a considerable difference. But there are just not enough of them to efficiently limit the growing vole population in this large 30-hectare field. If one really wishes to encourage birds of prey, using poison grains must be totally forbidden. They pose a mortal threat to all animals that hunt voles. Poisoned vole cadavers remain toxic after death and could kill any animal that eats them as food. But the wheat farmer doesn't know all this. He also doesn't know that at the north end of his field are two couples of Montagu's harriers, birds of prey that love to eat voles. They're nesting in the wheat at this very moment. In 2 weeks' time, members of the Bird Protection League will carry out a spectacular rescue operation. From April to October, this organic greenhouse is left wide open. The plastic roof allows internal temperatures to rise and production to begin. However, it doesn't protect the vegetables from predators who could come from outside. Animals are welcome here. A simple walk among the aubergines provides ample confirmation. One could think of this place as a miniature zoo. Hundreds of insects enjoy the honeydew on the leaf surface. In other words, the droppings from thousands of aphids that sip vegetable sap throughout the day. There aren't enough aphids on most of the leaves to have a negative impact. Only a few leaves are in poor shape. But could things get worse? The farmers are not worried. Everywhere you look, squads of cleaning agents help out day and night. First among these is the unforgettable ladybird and its larvae, which do a remarkable job at getting rid of aphids. But the greenhouse also harbours hundreds of green lacewings, these delicate golden-eyed creatures. Here we see one of them emerging from its larva casing. The females lay their eggs near aphid populations. Armed with extremely strong jaws, the larvae that emerge a few days later are powerful anti-aphid weapons. As soon as they are capable of moving across the aubergine leaves, they dedicate their lives to consuming and destroying aphid populations. 30 kills a day are nothing to them. But the farmers are most proud of these orange maggots that wiggle right through the middle of the aphids. These larvae are direct descendants of flies, known as aphidolites, which were brought in 3 years ago by the farmers, and that have since made themselves at home in the greenhouse. These neon-coloured creatures have no match when it comes to finding and destroying aphids in large numbers. In this organic greenhouse, the more creatures there are on the aubergine leaves, the better. The farmers know that these vegetable protectors are here to help fight off the many killers. As for the aubergines themselves, they grow beautifully and are not polluted by any synthetic chemicals. On the north side of the wheat field, the 2 couples of Montagu's harriers that nested in the field have bred. The first nest contains 2 3-day-old chicks and an egg that's ready to hatch. The second features 4 2-week-old chicks that are constantly hungry. The mother's return is always welcome, as it's synonymous with a meal. Harriers breed on the ground and have adapted to field crops by building nests in the centre of grain fields. The only downside of breeding in a cultivated field is that one day or another it will be harvested. And if the baby birds have not yet learned to fly when that day comes, they are doomed. Luckily, Montagu's harriers are internationally protected. Which is why today, a volunteer team from the Bird Protection League prepares to head into the fields on a mission to save the harrier chicks. The female harrier returns to the nest with a young vole in her claws, enough to fill up at least 2 of these 4 empty tummies. Ideally, Montagu's harriers will catch an adult vole. Just one is enough to feed the entire nest for half a day. A couple of harriers will hunt up to 600 voles per mating season, which makes a big difference in protecting the crop fields. But as humans approach, it's time to flee. The rescue operation is always the same. It has been carried out hundreds of times. First, the chicks are placed in darkness to limit their anxiety as much as possible. The nest is strategically moved. A space is then cleared so a cage can be placed on the ground, exactly where the nest was. A detail that's extremely important if the adult harriers are to come back to feed their young. In total, 3 square meters of wheat are cut, which only costs the farmer about 50 cents of a euro of loss in the harvest. The second to last step is to cover the vertical sides of the cage to keep the young chicks hidden from ground predators, such as foxes or roaming domestic animals. After 20 minutes in captivity, the young chicks are placed back in the nest. The harvest will take place in 2 days' time. A team of rescue workers will come for the final step of their mission, face to face with the field's massive combine harvester. We are now in the middle of a 27,000 square meter high-tech greenhouse. 6 million cucumbers are grown here each year, produced by some 77,000 hydroponic plants. In contrast to the organic greenhouse, the plants are isolated from the outside world as much as possible to keep predators out. But since many predators are almost microscopic, there are always a few that slip through the cracks. At this very moment, in the center of aisle 32, a few sneaky ones are enjoying a snack. A dozen yellowed leaves are covered with a fine white webbing, a definite sign of spider mites, which are only half a millimeter long. To feed themselves, spider mites plunge their rostrums into the leaves and suck up the cells one after another. It's a serious problem. Spider mites multiply at impressive speeds and can quickly endanger the entire greenhouse. Luckily, a biologist gardener checks on the cucumbers daily and knows how to handle this threat early on without the use of chemicals. To protect against spider mites, the biologist keeps a supply of microscopic warriors on hand that have been purchased from a specialized provider. A couple of hundred are placed on each infected leaf. These warriors are none other than predatory mites known as Persimilis. As soon as they are released from their plastic case, they have only one obsession: to leave the food pellets behind and go after the spider mites. These orange-colored predators move 3 times faster than their prey. Once they've captured their victims, they suck them dry. Each Persimilis warrior can kill 5 adult spider mites and some 20 eggs and larvae per day. Today, there are dozens of insect species that are reproduced in captivity and sent to assist farmers as warriors in their garden battles. They are so efficient that they should be considered ecological heroes. Within this immense greenhouse alone, they have reduced the use of chemical insecticides by 99%. It is now 4 p.m. The harvest is beginning on the north side of the wheat field. The nest with the 4 harrier chicks is just 100 meters from the cutter bar. Luckily, 2 rescue workers are ready to intervene. The region's first grain harvest began 2 weeks earlier. Were it not for the rescue workers, the harrier chicks and eggs would have no chance at survival. The nests are extremely difficult to spot without help from a specialized ornithologist. To ensure a minimal amount of disruption to the birds' routines, the cage is only moved at the last minute. The final step is to return the cage to the exact spot where it was before the harvest. Once the harvester leaves the fields, the adult harriers return to feed their chicks, as though nothing ever happened. The second nest will only face the harvester the following morning. Two months have passed, and the corn plants have now reached their maximum size. It's the perfect time to compare the European corn borer's impact on the 3 fields, to determine which treatment method was the most effective. The corn borer's destruction is easily seen in the numerous broken stems. What about the field that was treated with chemical insecticides? Did treatment prevent the stems from breaking? Apparently not. It turns out the insecticide treatment only works on very young caterpillars while they are still outside the plant. Once they've burrowed inside, they have nothing to fear. Numerous corn borers survive each year in spite of frequent chemical treatment. In comparison, the field treated by the drone has significantly fewer broken stems. The micro-sized trichogramma wasps did a remarkable job of getting to the root of the problem. That's because 3 weeks after being laid, the corn borer eggs hatched adult trichogramma wasps instead of corn-eating caterpillars. And what about the organic field of ancient corn that wasn't treated? There are broken stems throughout, but no more than in the field that was treated with insecticide. Overall, the field is healthy and robust. In the end, the thick stems of the ancient corn variety is worth as much as a season of chemical treatments, which the organic farmer never had to purchase. At 7 a.m, the harvester is once again at work in the wheat fields. Today there are so many cages to be moved in the surrounding fields that only one volunteer is available to handle our second harrier nest. Since a single person can't move the cage on their own, a different technique is used. To keep the chicks from flying out when the harvester shakes the nest, the cage is temporarily sealed. Just a few grams of chicks versus a 50-ton harvester. A victory for bird protection, thanks in part to collaboration from the farmer and a useful rescue method that keeps the fields healthy, as every saved baby chick is a future vole hunter. It's no longer possible to say that all wild animals are the enemies of cultivated crops. A few pests still remain, but even then, they are only a problem when their numbers surge. No chemical treatment will ever get rid of all pests. In fact, they have become ever more resistant, leading farmers in an uphill battle that is increasingly expensive and polluting. On the other hand, chemical-free agricultural methods confirm that all wild animals, if populations are varied and of the right number, will balance themselves naturally, even crop pests. By encouraging animal biodiversity, alternative methods prove that chemical-free agriculture is not only possible, but also profitable. The wild animals of the French countryside are not only there to amuse nature lovers. They are part of the circle of life that not only supports healthy ecosystems in the fields, but also avoids pollution in our food and in the environment.